Good morning. I'm Everline Kamau, Territory Manager at VMware by Broadcom. I'm truly honored today to speak into a very interesting, sensitive topic and personally interesting topic to me as an employee and as a woman in tech for more than 10 years. And when DX5 approached for my thoughts, I looked at my most recent experience in the middle of a merger and acquisition, very well-known, most recent acquisition of VMware by Broadcom. So I have been at VMware for 9 years, having navigated and worked through the ranks in 11 countries, having interacted with different types of customers and partners, and being able to engage on different types of requirements and solutions they need. However, today's topic will focus on how do we navigate in the middle of a storm and in the middle of change. And this change, in my perspective, the most recent merger and acquisition by Broadcom of VMware that concluded last year, November 22nd, 2023. So first and foremost, I felt it's important to understand what is a merger, what is an acquisition. Those two words are used interchangeably to mean the same thing, but they actually do not. When we look at a merger, we're looking at a company integrating to form a new entity. When you look at an acquisition, you're looking at a company taking over a current company. And the reasons why that happens is they vary. And most of the biggest reason would be growth, market penetration, and as well as the creation of synergies. Now, I looked up at mergers and acquisition, and it's interesting also to understand the origin of M&As. They are as old as when the company is existing. Our most recent case study of 1708, when an Indian company bought another company in order to sustain its monopoly. So when we look then at mergers and acquisition, then begs the question, how do we maintain a balance, especially in the corporate industry, when you're looking at people, when you're looking at processes, when you're looking at systems? Hence my choice of words, how do we navigate in the middle of a storm all these changes that M&As bring? Now, back to the current discussion of the VMware by acquisition of VMware by Broadcom. It could be horizontal M&A, horizontal acquisition, could be a vertical acquisition, could be a conglomerate. So horizontal is when you acquire in the same industry, or vertical, again, the same industry across lateral lines. It could be a conglomerate where the companies have nothing in common, for example, an airline acquiring a newspaper. Or it could be a congeneric, in this case, where, for example, VMware has been acquired by Broadcom. One of the strongest reasons why I believe Broadcom acquired VMware was to expand on their current offering, especially looking at the multi-cloud strategy. So a brief on VMware. VMware has been in existence since 1998, and VMware has undergone 4 M&As. And looking at the history of those M&As, I would say has been beneficially both profit-wise for VMware, but also ensuring market penetration and sustainability for the VMware solutions. So running down the history line, VMware acquired by EMC in 2004, EMC acquired by Dell in 2016. Then we also see the spin-off that happened where VMware became also a separate entity in 2019, after which now we have 2023, VMware being acquired by Broadcom. All this, why I share, is just to show that a corporate entity has to be able to ensure that they maintain a sense of sanity, a sense of sustainability for its employees as they go through different levels of merger and acquisition. And testimony to the fact that a lot of us have been able to stay at VMware for this long, I think is something that our corporate organization at VMware has done very well. But a key point to note is the balance, especially when it comes to culture, when it comes to the people, when it comes to the processes and the systems. And therefore, I will speak to the challenges of M&As. So how do we embrace the integration complexity? How do we ensure that we can take into account and communicate appropriately to the employees, especially those maybe you're letting go, employees that are going through a short-term transformation, then being very honest and transparent to these employees in order for them also to look for options as well. How do the companies make sure they do due diligence, and how do they comply to the regulatory handles per country? Those are some of the challenges that we witness in M&As, and sometimes can cause a delay, and these can cause some level of anxiety or panic for employees, so therefore making the process very complicated. So when we look at the current acquisition by Broadcom, from a personal experience, it's been a very patient journey, a very intense process, but most importantly, it's been very critical for us as employees to understand the objectives that Broadcom have at play. So for instance, when you talk about what kind of route to market is Broadcom going to have in this process, who will be impacted, what is the outcome of the partner and the channel engagement. Number two, how will the packaging and pricing be? And I think for me, the most important thing in this M&A is being able to reassure our customers that we are here to walk the journey with them, to be able to ensure seamless integration and seamless changeover as we progress with this change. So the biggest conversation here would be continuity of support. And I see there's been a lot of investment by Broadcom to ensure that these life cycle management and support services guaranteed to these customers. And also notably is a lot of communication that is available in the public domain. How do we ensure the customers have confidence in this process for the M&A, especially with a well-known solution like VMware in the market? Now, I know you asked about predictions, and I would like to quote a few predictions. According to Morgan & Stanley report 2024, we expect a growth in 2024 on mergers and acquisition. And the reasons we expect this is we see a boost in CEO confidence, especially when it comes to diversifying and creating synergies. We see stronger corporate activities, especially in 2024. We also see a lot of reliance on cross-border interaction and collaboration because of tough economic times. This also lends into encouraging synergies cross-border. And most importantly as well is corporate separations. And this usually happens to create clarity. And so that even the smaller firms can be able to realign themselves and be able to look at, where can we get more funds. And finally, we expect to see increase in financial sponsors. And this is generally due to A, there's a lot of awareness, B, there's a lot of interest in what technology can help us achieve. And so these financial sponsors are also expected to grow in 2024 to be able especially to buy out if there's any sitting private equity that needs to be invested or sold, etc. In conclusion, M&As remain very relevant for corporates that are looking at inorganic growth strategies. I would like to reference Google's case study in acquisition of Android. And we look at Google acquiring Android. I believe that was in July 2005 to diversify and enter into the mobility market. It's a key success, and I believe then was one of the highest or the biggest acquisition ever of around $50 million, okay? And so again, this goes to show that due to the demand of the key technology requirements in the market and also the influence of key technology trends, companies then are making demand to access innovation. And if they're going to take advantage of technology startup companies, there's also a requirement for talent acquisition. So we're talking about how do we quickly acquire most young, vibrant, current, recent talent. There's also the question of competitive advantage and diversification, as well as consolidation. How do M&As then trigger this type of demands as well?